Hi guys, Angie Bell with my fairy treasures. Okay, I am back. Let me take a seat. Okay, let's see. Make sure you guys are seeing. Okay, I am back and I did this, completed this page, okay? And then we'll work on this page and make it look something like this one, okay? I just wanted to get a little head start so you guys know where we're going and just for the sake of the length of the video. So what I did over here is I added more to the background, which we're going to do over here. And we'll go through those steps. And then I took these mushrooms. Okay, so I drew out a bunch of mushrooms. Okay, so these are the mushrooms I drew out. So then I copied these onto some cardstock so that I'll have some, like, you know, little stiffer, some thicker cardstock mushrooms, right? And I took those mushrooms and I took a piece of some of my jelly prints that I make. And I just placed them on my jelly prints because I thought these would make this would make a cool background for the mushroom, right? And then I wouldn't even have to color my mushrooms in. So I did that. I took a black magic marker, did that, cut them out. And when I did that, I also went ahead and decorated them with some of my foils. You just put a little Elmer's glue. I did it actually to the whole page, just here and there. Just so you have like a little bit of the gold flakes. You add a little bit of Elmer's glue and then you add the gold flakes on there. Okay, so that's what I did for all of these. And I made a bunch of mushrooms out of my jelly prints. Okay? And then you don't have to color your mushrooms because your mushrooms are colored, right? With the jelly prints, which I thought this is cool. I cannot color my mushrooms as cool as these jelly prints are. Okay, so that's how I got this. And I think these look really cool. These right here are butterflies from Dollar Tree wall decals. And I went ahead, because I wanted to have these butterflies forever, I went and put them on 3 different sheets of cardstock so that I would have the butterflies forever. So I've already been cutting into these, see? But I took all the butterflies and it took 3 sheets of paper for me to put them on. So I put them on 3 sheets of cardstock. And that's on a separate sheet of paper of cardstock. So those are like my main patterns that I keep and I can just make copies. When you make the actual copies, just make it on printer paper. Because it's easier to glue things down when it's done on thin paper rather than cardstock. Okay? Okay. So, let me put all that underneath here. Oh! Oh my gosh, I just dropped all my mushrooms. Okay, just a second, guys. And any of these things that I have like this, you can find things all the time. So any collage bits that you find, things in coloring books, so you don't have to draw things out. Always be looking for things that you can add into as your focal points. I just drew my focal points. But look, these were Dollar Tree decals. So, okay, so then that's how I did that. I went ahead with my Stabilo, went around the mushroom, and gave myself a little bit of shaded around the edges. Okay, so let's get started on the background. I keep having like a crafty avalanche. Okay, I can put that over here. Okay, so what I did, and I already did it, is after we glued down all of our scrapbook paper and our jelly prints, I took a little bit of gesso. Okay, I don't use gesso. I use a thing called Kilz, K-I-L-T-Z. You can get it at Home Depot, Walmart, any of those kind of places. In the paint section, it's like a gesso, but it's a wall primer, but it acts just like gesso. Okay, you can buy a gallon for like 12 bucks. Okay, so what I like to do, I wanted to, on this one, I wanted to cut the color back a little bit, just a little bit, and also wanted to give a nice, very nice, give the paper some nice tooth, and gesso does that, but I wanted it really light. So I took a paintbrush, I dipped it into water, then I dipped it into the gesso, but dip it into water first. So when you go over this, you get a very light coating of gesso, so that you can still see all this stuff underneath. It knocks it back, but not knocks it back completely. You can still see it plenty. So that's how I got to where I'm at. Okay. Wanted to explain that. So now we have our background knocked back a little bit, but also we have a very nice surface to work on that we put that wall compound on there. Okay, so now let's do some, just a second, and move my mat over. Oh, hopefully I'm not going to move everything over. I just want to move my mat. I want to put the paint right on here. Just a second. There we go. You only have so much area to work with. All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of stenciling, okay? So, and I have all my stencils out over here on the side, so we're going to use this stencil first. Let's use this blue color. And we're just using some acrylic paint. Oh, another thing I did. Okay, you know how you always have your edges left? So what I did is I took my Jane Davenport watercolor sticks. You can use these. You can use Gelato's watercolor sticks. You can use just a little bit of acrylic paint on a baby wipe to do what I'm going to do. So you can also use a little bit of watercolor to do this too. Okay, so I took a little bit because I had a little bit of white. I've already done it in advance, but I'm just going to go over it and show you again. I had there's some white space here, a lot of white space on my edges. So I wanted to fill those in. So I just went ahead with like this. And then just wet your finger and then just spread it out. Also, another thing I did was in places where I felt like there needed to be a little bit more color, just to like deepen the color a little bit. Like right here, I felt like that needed to be deepened. So I took a little bit of this teal color and I went over this teal here like that, and then I have a little baby wipe here. It's kind of dried up. Okay, so I went my finger with a little baby wipe and then just go like this. And that's what's nice about the water-soluble crayons. See how they just, you can just see so easily. So then, so anywhere you feel like you need a little bit of color, just take, like I said, these water-soluble crayons, which these are the Jane Davenports, which I just love Jane Davenports. They no longer carry these at Michael's, but they do have them at Hobby Lobby. They're expensive, but use a coupon. So you can probably get them for like $10 with the coupon, and they last you guys forever. I bought doubles of everything, like when Michael's would have a good sale and then I could use a coupon, and I haven't even ever gone through this whole set yet. So you can also take this. I went right here, the edge here. I wanted to add a little more coloring in here, so I did that. Wet your finger, get the edges, and then go through and do any coloring anywhere you feel you need a little bit more color. And there's no right or wrong answer. If you just want to bring out a little more purple in a certain area, you want to bring out a little bit of more something else in another area, whatever you want to do. Like right here, right now, I'm going to add a little bit more of this magenta because I feel like that's too much purple. Spray a little water on there. You can also spray a little water instead of just wetting your finger, whatever you want to do. Ooh, that worked out nice. Just slightly spritz a little water. Love that. Now I'm loving that so much better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so what we've done so far is, remember we put that light coating of gesso, let that dry, then go around with your water-soluble crayons, acrylic paint. You can take like a baby wipe with acrylic paint and then do the same thing. And what it does with a baby wipe is it leaves it so that you can still see through it. It makes it translucent. Or you can take water-soluble crayons like Jane Davenport's. You can use Gelato's, whatever you want to do. Okay. Oh, watercolors would work with this too. Okay. So now let's do some stenciling. So we're just adding to the background. Let's see if we can come in a little bit closer. We can't really come in that much closer. Okay. So what I'm doing is I chose 3 colors, and the 3 colors are in my background area. This purple, this turquoise, and this magenta, and I might use this purple too. And these are all just acrylic paints, cheapy acrylic paints. And you can use cheapy acrylic paints. You can use whatever you want. You can use Jane Davenport's acrylic paints, just whatever tickles your fancy. Okay. All right. I love this stencil. I've grown to love it. I didn't love it when I first got it, but now I don't know, I use it all the time. All right. Let me get another. And these are makeup sponges that I'm using. And I love this glass mat. You guys, this glass mat is the bomb. Let's see if this is, yeah. This color is kind of, it's really translucent. So it really just is a very nice light addition to the background. I'll tell you another thing you can use too. You can always use your inks like this with a makeup sponge, and it really adds a nice little something different to the background. So you can also use things like that. You can also use ink pads. Okay. Let's use a little bit of this purple. Let's use a different stencil. All right, let's go to this. This is called Punchinella. And what Punchinella is I never knew what it was. And then this one girl on YouTube talked about it. I'm like, okay, what is Punchinella? You get it. You can buy a pretty big box of it for like $4 or $5 on eBay. And it's what's left over after you punch out sequins. I had never heard of that before. I didn't know they sold the leftovers from making sequins. Never had heard of that. You can also use it in your jelly printing as like a stencil in jelly printing, which I've done. It's really cool. And it just leaves some really cool little circles. I love it. Love it. And it really adds some cool stuff to your jelly printing too. Okay. That's cool. So that's Punchinella. And let's use one more stencil. One more backgroundy stencil. So I'm going to use this one here. And we're just adding interest. That is it. Just adding interest. Here and there. Okay, and then let's go back to the Punchinella and add a little white. All right, so just a second, my white is dried up on me. All right, let's add a little white. And let's make sure you guys are still there. And you are. Very good. Okay. I've really set up my camera today good. I went and I don't have that much storage on my phone. And so I went ahead and made sure that I canceled the last video I made, which is something I have to do, or my phone turns off. Also, because it runs out of storage. I also, what else did I do? So I did that, and what else did I do? Oh, I put it on airplane mode. And that prevents those commercials from coming on when I'm making a video. And that probably makes me the most mad, is I'm doing a video and then a commercial comes across while I'm making a video. Like, I'm not seeing myself on the video anymore. I'm seeing a commercial. What the heck? Does anybody else have that problem? Does your phone, when you're taping, if you tape on your phone, a commercial can come through? I'm like, what? It's weird. Anyway. Okay, so we got a bunch of good stuff added to the background. Let's wipe this off. And this is what I love about this, is this just wipes off pretty easily. Look at that. Isn't that nice, you guys? The only thing I don't do on here is I don't glue. I still use my magazine as a glue surface because I just figured, you know, it's glue and sticky, and that's going to be, I have to scrape that off, and I don't want the hassle of that. Paint is really easy. It just comes right off, as you guys just saw. So let me put my little things away. Okay, so we did that. So what do we want to do next? Okay, let's dry this, and then we'll do some mark making. And let's try to come in a little bit more. Okay. So let me turn on my blow dryer for just a second. If you don't like that, fast forward. And then we'll do some mark making. Okay. You guys, I keep all my paint, a bunch of paint markers in this bag. Isn't this bag fabulous? Look how big it is. Dollar Tree, you guys. So they don't have big ones like this very often, but look out for these when they do have them. And if you see them, pick up 3, 4, 5 of them because they won't have them very long. I haven't seen them since, but. All right, so let's do some mark making. We're going to start with, so these are all just paint pens. These are artisan paint pens, and you guys, I got these, what am I doing? Crosses. I'm doing just little crosses, and I'm doing in sets of 3. I always do it in sets of 3. I got these artisan paint pens for $1 each at Hobby Lobby. I think over the summer, between the spring and summer, they clearance out their store. So make sure you guys pay attention to that. The first of the year is coming here, and Hobby Lobby will be clearancing out the whole store. But especially look out for the craft section and the art section. And then, okay. And then also in June, for those of you who are my yarny friends, we love to buy yarn. They do theirs June, the first week of June, they clearance out their yarn. I mean clearance, like things that are like $5 a skein are like $1, $1.25, $1.50. It's like, it's insane. And I go nuts. So I spend quite a bit of money with Hobby Lobby on these clearances from January until June. So, well, we all do. But keep those in mind. I'm going to use a gold pen now. This one right here is a great pen. This is a Jane Davenport. It's called a paint over pen. It paints over anything, and they're right, it does. It's another paint pen, but it's her version of a paint pen, and I'm obsessed with it. Just trying to see. I'll do X's with this. Now, you may not be able to see what I'm doing, you guys, because it's not real close on here, but we're working on in this book, and it's hard to get a close-up. I'm just making little X's. So all this is just little marks. Let's do some circles. Let me make sure this pen's working. I'm not sure which one of my pens was. Okay. I think my artisan pen, I got to get another one. And I probably bought $70 worth of these, which sounds crazy, but my husband, he's an artist too, and he loves to use paint pens when he does his art. So I'm doing 3 little circles all over the place. He likes to use paint pens in his art. And He's not one to make a big mess. I notice when he does his art, it's weird. Here's me using all kinds of stuff. He sits at his little desk right beside our bed and just arts away with his paint pens and drawing with pencil. And it comes out really cool. Here's me using everything under the sun. Okay, so we did some mark making. Okay, with my art paint pens. All right, so next, let me just see if you guys can come in a little closer in this little spot so you can kind of see all the marks. See the different marks I made? Just little marks, no major. But I can tell you guys a little thing that I do, let me bring it out like that, is I have made a little cheat sheet of marks. I was just writing down all the marks I can think of, and then I went to my typewriter and I looked at marks too. So we have pluses, zeros, crosses, dollar signs. Make sure what you guys are seeing. Okay. Little dashes, X's, question marks, arrows, little circles that are look like a bunch of little eggs, and signs, Q's, exclamation points, quotes. So you see what I'm saying? Little S's. I didn't use these. Hashtags. I could have done hashtags. This little arrow sign this way and arrow that way. So a nice little cheat sheet of marks is always nice to do because, let me just show you my marks in case you want to copy them. Go ahead and pause the screen. But it's just nice to make yourself a nice little cheat sheet of marks so you don't have to think of the marks. Because sometimes you're sitting there and you're going, okay, I want to make marks, but I can't think of any marks. Well, now you don't think about them. You could just do the marks. Okay. Next, what do we want to do? Okay, I think next we're going to do... Why do I have this behind my camera? Oh, I had a feeling that was going to happen. All right, sorry guys. Oh, this camera, it almost came crashing down on me. This stuff right here was behind the camera. Okay. Almost had a crafty avalanche, as they say. Okay, so this is just a script stamp, and I love to put script stamp in my work. I just think it looks cool. And I like it. It doesn't have to be completely even. I kind of like that. Like you see some script stamping here and there. I think it adds to like that old wall look. You know, like, oh, that looks like an old wall and there was script on it. And there's a bunch of paint chipping off. That's what it reminds me of. I think that's why I like script stamps so much. Okay. It just adds, I think it adds that old wall. Like, oh, it looks like a chipped up old wall and maybe there was some writing on it. I love it. Okay, and then I want to do some splatters on here. So let's do some splatters, white splatters, which is fairy dust. Let me call it the right name. Let's do some fairy dusting. So I have some white paint on here from a little bit ago here. Let's see if we have enough on here. Just going to take a stiff paintbrush. You can do this with a stiff paintbrush. You can do this with a toothbrush. You can do this with a fan brush. You probably just do it with a regular old brush. All right, so here we go. Let's fairy dust. Anything you don't want fairy dusted, get it out of the way. Of course. I like a lot of fairy dust. And I think a lot of fairy dust makes it more mystical and adds a lot of magic to it. I don't fairy dust all the time, just most of the time. And I've gotten other people calling it fairy dusting. One time I didn't do it. She goes, you didn't fairy dust. I said, oh, I forgot. Okay. So we fairy dusted it, which I think looks really cool. Look how much mystical and magicalness that adds to it, in my opinion. Some people will be like, girl, that looks like a damn mess. But I like it. Okay, so let me just kind of show you close up. Isn't that pretty? And I've discovered that is what I'm always creating, you guys. I'm always trying to create an old wall. Something that looks like it's been aged over time. That's why I love layers. Okay, so we're going to come back out majorly still again. And what time do we have? Okay, we have 25 minutes. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I'm not going to do it on camera because it takes a little bit of time. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do off camera and then we'll come back. Okay, so we have my girl here. Remember I showed you guys my girl? Okay, and when I come back, I promised somebody that I would let them know the colors. I'll let you know the colors of the hair and the colors of the mermaid's tail I used. I also might do a video on how I colored her up because I have a few people asking questions about that. So this is our girl here. I made a copy of her on my printer and then on cardstock, and I cut her out. So I'll show you that in a second. So those mushrooms, I showed you how I made the mushrooms. So I'm going to put these mushrooms on here, but they need to be glued on, right? Well, that takes a little bit of time, and I don't have all that time on video to glue these. So we'll glue these down. I just did one butterfly because it's so big. I didn't need 3. And we'll put this butterfly there. Isn't this looking fabulous? And then, let me look at my time. Perfect. Okay, so that'll be all pasted down. Then I'm going to take my girl, my mermaid, and she's going to go and sit on top of these mushrooms. Okay, so there she is sitting on top of the mushrooms. I know it looks a little bit of a mess right now, but I think it's going to be fabulous once it's all glued down. So she'll be sitting on the mushrooms. I will cut this on the in the the crease of the book so that this lays flat, and I think it's going to be cool. So she's going to be sitting on these mushrooms, and as I can see right now, just a second, I might just bring these mushrooms like this, and you just see the tops of the mushrooms. So let me see about something. Yeah, I may do that. I may bring these mushrooms down a little bit. See, this is what I'm talking about. I need time to do this, and it'd be easier to do it off camera. But that's the idea. I think it's just going to be the tops of the mushrooms are going to be glued on. So I won't be gluing on the bottoms of them. And then she'll be sitting on top. So it'll be a mermaid sitting on top of mushrooms. I think that's cool. Then I'll be able to let the butterfly show a little bit more too. Okay, so I'm going to do all that off camera. Then we're going to come back. We need to stabilo around the girl. We need to stabilo around the mushrooms. Stabilo the page. I need to put my little bubble back here that she's hanging on to, or a planet right here. I'm not sure yet. So we have a little bit of finishing up to do. So that's what we'll do in the next video. Okay, but she's going to be all pasted down, and all these pieces are going to be pasted down. Okay, I will see you guys in the next one. See you soon. Bye.